Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. I have a question. Actually, I need a clarification of something that you said at the beginning. I think that you said that that separation is, or separateness is an illusion. Does that mean that it's an illusion that my body is separate from this chair or from your body, and that it all that those are only appearances of the same energy, or does that mean that it's an illusion that my body is an illusion and the chair is an illusion and that everything is an illusion?
The illusion, which is, for want of a better word, is that sense of separation. That's all that's illusory. Everything else is just what it is. It's real and unreal. The body, there isn't. You don't have a body. There's just a body. But all the time there's the illusion of there being an identity. Then the identity claims everything as its own, including the body. And suffering and the experience of looking at a chair. It thinks that it's doing it, and in doing it, it separates from the chair because it's a separate energy. So everything else is simply an apparent to the individual, is an apparent object that's separate to the individual. That is an illusion.
Okay, but the objects themselves are not an illusion.
Sorry?
The objects themselves, or the bodies themselves,
are
are not
appearing as objects.
They're appearing to one as an object,
yeah.
as objects.
When there's no one, it's obvious that everything is nothing appearing as what it seems to look like. Mm-hmm. So it's real and unreal. You could say in another way that that separation, the energy of separation and identity, is a dream, like a dreamt reality, which is, and the only other word I can think of is that it's illusory. So, but in that illusion, it believes that everything else is an object. It feels that everything else outside it is an object that's separate from it.
Thank you.
I just want to share an experience. So I like this story or concept or this idea. I heard this from Richard Sylvester the first time.
Sorry?
I heard this story or this idea from Richard Sylvester the first time. But I experienced when I talking to friends or to people or even to family, they don't really like that story. So I didn't find anyone who really likes that story.
Well, no one likes it.
Exactly. So
what?
And then this me, what is still there, feels a little bit more lonely instead of more freedom.
Yeah. Oh, but this isn't about you being free. This is pointing to the reality that you will never be free because you're locked into the story. When that you that is locked into the story is no more, there's only freedom, but there isn't any one that's free.
Okay.
And all the time, me hears the story, or all the time me hears this message, it doesn't like it. So what?
So yesterday I was wondering how you react to people that, I recognize that people reacting aggressive or that they wouldn't want to listen, so that's happening to me too. And you would just stop talking. And this is what making people much more aggressive.
Yes. Absolutely. And it creates, apparently this message creates suffering in people too.
Yeah.
There isn't anything here that reacts. There isn't anything here.
Well, at least I liked it that this happened yesterday the same as I experienced it myself. So I was thinking maybe I didn't find the right words, but...
No, I mean, all there is what's happening, including not liking this message and trying to devalue it or make it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what is happening. There's nothing right with that or wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's what happens.
Thank you.
I have another question. If everyone realized that they are not separate individuals, would bad things still be happening?
Yes, but there is no one that realises that. Let's be clear, so-called liberation, for want of a better word, is the end of someone realising something. There being someone who would realise or experience anything. It's the end of me. It's death, it's the end. There's nothing left. And yes, things would go on apparently happening.
But also bad things, like wars and
there aren't any
hurt.
bad things. There aren't any good things. There's only what apparently happens. It's only in the world of the seeker, in the me story, that there is something called good and bad. Because the me story is subject-object, the me story is dualistic. Therefore it splits everything into two, including something being bad and something being good. When that collapses, what collapses with it is the idea that there's something that's good or bad. And it's very obvious, absolutely obvious, that all there is what's happening.
What is the advantage of that then?
Sorry? There's no advantage. There is absolutely nothing here for the individual at all. Nothing. It's the end of the individual. What's being suggested here is suddenly the individual who wants an advantage can collapse. And then there's nothing that has an advantage or doesn't.
I didn't mean the advantage for the individual, I meant advantage...
There's no advantage. It's the worst thing that could happen to the individual. Liberation is the worst thing that can happen to the individual.
Why?
Because it's the end of the individual, and that's quite bad. It's a complete loss, and it's complete. There's no question about it, it's all over. There's no individual. It's the end of a dream that was never happening.
I still don't understand why it's bad.
Well, you will when you die. That's meant to be a joke, but it's not. Well, the individual energy, the me energy, the I energy, only wants one thing, and that is to survive. That's why it goes on seeking, because seeking promotes and reinforces the sense that it will go on continuing to seek, because seeking is an endless and utterly futile activity. So the me, the I, doesn't want to die, it wants to... Have you noticed that? So obviously its death is not a good idea for it. But there's nothing that can be done about its continuation or its death. Either it apparently continues or it apparently dies.
If dying is such a horrible story, why are you laughing so often?
Because what dies is an illusion. It is the end of something that was never happening. That's why it's humorous. But it's only humorous after the death. Prior to the death, it's very serious.
So after dying, there is nothing, no sweets or anything else?
No sweets. Well, there are sweets, but nobody eats them. They're much nicer because you don't have something thinking, I shouldn't eat this.
Tony, can I ask you you a practical question. Here.
Where are you? Yeah.
How do you handle mosquitoes, ants, cockroaches?
Mosquitoes don't bite me because I'm enlightened. I have such a golden energy. It can't penetrate my aura. I don't handle anything. Mosquitoes bite and that's what happens. There's nothing here that deals with anything because there's nothing here.
So Tony Parsons just doesn't react.
Well, there is no Tony Parsons, but there might be a response to a mosquito biting. But no one does that. No one's ever done it. The me is an added bit of software that thinks that it does things.
So this form could clap a mosquito and just say, oh, "You're not real anyway." I mean, that's only...
Well, I don't sit there and think the mosquito isn't real. There's no one that is working out anything anymore. There's just what happens.
So it's not my decision if I clap the
You don't
mosquito.
have any decision. You don't have anything. The idea that you have a decision to make is a dream. No one in this room is choosing to do what is happening. All there is what's happening. There's no one in this room that's actually sitting on a seat. All there is sitting on a seat.
And where does the impulse to sit on a seat come from?
Nothing. Apparently, sitting on a seat seems to happen, but there's no one that chooses to do that.
Okay, another question. I wrote, I think, Ramana Maharshi, that everything is a manifestation of my mind.
Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't get off the ground here. There is no mind. Where's the mind? Ramana Maharshi also said to somebody, "Show me your mind."
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a mind.
He said many different things to different people. So,
He told two people who came to him and said they'd just lost their son because he died, and they were really sad about that. Would they ever see their son again? He told them, "Yes, you'll see them when you go to heaven." And when he was asked about that by somebody else, he said, "I speak to different people at different levels of intelligence. Some people have a lower level of intelligence, other people have a higher. So I speak at their level."
yeah,
Have you ever heard anything much more arrogant than that?
Sorry?
Sorry.
I didn't get that.
The implication is that he teaches at different levels of intelligence, but what is being communicated here has absolutely nothing to do with intelligence at all. Childlike wonder doesn't need any sort of level of intelligence for there to be childlike wonder. It's only the seeking mind that thinks there are different levels of intelligence, and the higher and more cultured your intelligence is, the more likely you are to become enlightened. That's sheer arrogance and ignorance. Enlightenment has nothing to do with anyone or their intelligence.
That was not my question.
You were talking about Ramana Maharshi saying different things. I was only expressing my
I was talking about a manifestation, or why things appear to me at all. So when I'm in a deep sleep, the things don't appear to me anymore. And is it right that they don't exist anymore? Because I could be killed in a deep sleep, and or I could be filmed in a deep sleep, and afterwards I'm watching the film, and there is still things still appear.
Okay, so all there is what is, and what is the appearance of no thing. The idea that there is someone there that experiences something happening is part of the dream. the illusion of there being someone who experiences something. But the whole of existence is simply no thing appearing to be existence. There's nothing that makes it happen. It just happens without any reason or cause. What that experience is what's happening in the story. It feels that it knows what is happening or is aware of it. When there is no one, everything that happens just happens out of nothing, and there's nothing that's aware of.
Okay, thank you.
And certainly this doesn't come out of the mind or thought. Thought is just a record of something that seems to be happening. It's a very superficial activity. It's not the creator of anything. Nothing is the source of everything. Apparently.
Tony, when you say no source, then you mean no beginning.
There is no beginning or end, there's only what is.
How to be with sad feelings?
Sorry,
How to be with sad feelings or feeling of loneliness, and I'm so attached to it.
That's the dilemma for me. That me is that which attaches itself to whatever happens and takes ownership of it. So sadness or loneliness seem to arise, and the me attaches itself to them and owns them. It would then possibly go to somebody else, like a therapist, to find out how to deal with that. But all of that is still in the circle of the me story. As far as this is concerned, that whole construct is simply part of the story. And there's no, in the end, there's no one that can deal with sadness or loneliness. There just is sadness or loneliness. And even though the me may use some sort of process to deal with a particular emotion, nevertheless, what's not being dealt with is the separation that creates the ownership of that separation. And so the ownership of that state of loneliness. So all you're doing in therapy is to change the furniture around in the room.
I have a question about when you say and share something.
Share something.
Yeah. I have sometimes a recognition of it, and sometimes I have experiences, physical, by feelings. What do you say to these feelings? Acknowledging is enough, and then they have no meaning?
Well, the experience of a feeling is in the story. In the story of me, there is an experiencer. Me is an experiencer, and is aware of or knows the feeling of what is arising. That's what keeps what is arising separate, by knowing it or being aware of it.
So when I get this rightly, when I work with the feelings and do a kind of processing, then it's in vain. It will lead me only to the me.
Yeah, it's just the me experiencing what's happening.
Okay, thank you.
What happens when people are dying? Is there a little moment of awakening or nothing?
At the point of death, like at the point of liberation, there's a recognition that there was never anybody there to die. The point of death is like the point of liberation. It's simply the end of something that was never happening.
when there's no duality, no me, when there's the oneness that comes also in this moment when I talk about the oneness from this me, when everything vanishes and the universe collapses, what is left? What is left?
No, the me, the collapse of the me doesn't mean that all of this collapses. It is only that all of this is no longer separate. So this room, if there's a me in this room, it experiences this room as being a separate object. When the me collapses, there's no longer that perception, there is just room.
Great.
How do you know what happens?
I don't know anything.
Okay, but you answered my question.
I didn't answer. So the question arises and the response comes out of no thing. There's no body that the response comes out of, and there's not a knowing that the response comes out of. It just is a spontaneous response out of nothing. There's no one here, this is nothing. Even the question being asked is actually originating out of nothing. This is just nothing happening.
Tony, no laugh at all.
Sorry?
No laugh at all.
It is only love. All there is here is no thing, which is absolute unconditional love. But don't ask me to describe it. That's all there is. This is love. But it isn't the love that me would recognise as love.
Yes.
Is there a life joy for Tony Parsons in this state?
No, there was a life story for Tony Parsons, but he isn't here anymore.
Okay. And,
But it never was happening. It was only a dream. Of the Tony Parsons in the story was a dream.
okay. And who is speaking?
No one.
No one. Okay.
Who's asking? No one. Who's asking? Who's speaking? No one.
Is there a feeling?
Sorry?
Is there a feeling
Feelings arise.
also in Tony Parsons?
No, there's no Tony Parsons. What you're looking at is what's happening. All there is what's happening. You can't imagine it. The me can't imagine it, because the me can only understand the experience of separation.
It's like it is.
One more question. I'm now confused about the term that you just used, absolute love. Could we use the term absolute hatred instead?
Could we use the term
Absolute hatred?
absolutely?
Love to hate. The opposite.
Hatred? No, in the whole there aren't any opposites. It's only in the story that there are opposites.
So we could use any term to
Any
describe
term, yes,
that.
marmalade. All there is marmalade. It doesn't matter, the words aren't it. The words are only pointers to it. All there is unconditional love, all there is on, all there is energy. It's just words. But it points to something else that is recognised.
What?
What is, all there is what is and isn't.
But it doesn't have any positive or negative connotation. There's just
Doesn't have any positive.
or negative connotation.
No.
So
Positive and negative are part of the story.
no, I thought so, but you used the term unconditional love, so I got confused by that.
Well, unconditional love again it's impossible to describe, but unconditional love is unconditional wholeness, is unconditional marmalade. It's just, words don't say it.
When this little tiny eye drops off, is there, I think there must be great fear before.
Great fear before, yeah, awful. Or sometimes, not always. Some people it's very cool, the whole thing is just cool, man. But for a lot of people it can be great fear.
And for the body system, it might be a big change, a big has a strong impact.
Can do, yeah.
Can. So it also can happen very smooth.
That's an advantage in yours.
Okay. Because when I heard about it for the first time, because I also in the past, for many years, I was trained about in a kind of progressive evolution towards enlightenment. When I heard this dropping off of the eye, I was so shocked.
Yeah.
I said, oh no.
Can't have that.
No.
I'd like to creep up on it gradually.
Yes. So it took quite some time to get accustomed to this idea and to get in peace with this.
But in a way, you don't know what it means. No one does. I didn't. I didn't know what this is now talking about. I didn't know what the death was like.
No, but even the listening, the hearing about the death of the eye was so frightening. Why is so frightening for me?
Strangely enough, when it happens, it's like taking off a slightly tight slipper.
I have a question. My English is not so good.
That's fine.
I try. All there is, or all what appears, is in duality.
No. All that appears is what it is. But for the individual, it sees those things that appear as dual. Separate. I am here, and what appears is over there.
Yeah, my question pointed duality, good and bad, and the experience from a good experience, bad experience. And is there a balance in all of that?
Yes, the whole of the appearance, be it dual or not dual, is totally neutral. Because it's out of no thing, which isn't doing anything or going anywhere. It's completely neutral. It's only the me that thinks there's a battle between good and evil, or this is bad and that's good, and there's a but it's all neutral.
Question. You sit there way indifferently whether somebody is asking or everything is quiet. Is this the state you're in?
No, I'm not in this state.
Okay.
There isn't anything here. All there is what's happening.
And that is happening.
All there is what is apparently happening.
Okay. Whether you answering questions or whether there's...
So questions seem to be asked and responded to, or not.
Yeah, I was just curious about what do you enjoy more?
Oh, a Lamborghini or good marmalade. There isn't anything that enjoys anything more in that sense. There just is what there is. It doesn't matter if it's silent or there are questions, it's what's happening. There's, you could say there's just a being in what's happening, but even that begins to get a bit... There isn't anything being in what's happening, there's just what's happening. And there's no choice or idea that one thing is better than another. It's called freedom.
But even in liberation there can be dislike or approval, can't it?
There can be...
Dislike or approval.
Yes, but not by anyone. It's a dislike of bad food or
anger or something.
Oh yeah. But it isn't happening to anyone, it's just... Do you want it?
Yeah, I think this is sometimes difficult to understand from our viewpoint. If a person who is so-called awakened gets angry, or...
No, it isn't that the person gets angry.
Yeah, not the person, of course. I mean,
anger happens.
Yes.
But only apparently.
Apparently, yes. Well, my question is already gone. It's difficult. It's difficult for me. Yeah. It's difficult to get to stick to the question.
Well, the question is based on the idea of a personal anger, but there is no such thing. There's no such thing as anything as personal, except in the dream. And the person dreams that when it's enlightened, it won't ever be angry. It'll only live in constant bliss, which could be extremely boring. But this is a completely different. We're trying to describe something that can't be described, in which anything can arise, but there is no one it arises for anymore.
Another question comes up. I was with several teachers, and one emphasized to meditate or contemplate for more hours continuously. And the people, of course, the followers or friends felt better if they meditated for a long time.
Yeah.
And so my question is, why awakened being, so-called awakened being, can put this idea into the mind of the
Well, an awakened being can put us to someone, right? Because there is still someone there. In my terms, awakening means that there's still a me there. In a state of let's call it a state of awakening. When the me is no longer there, when it collapses, it's quite apparent, but there is no one. So there wouldn't be any possibility of communicating to someone that they have a choice to meditate, because it is obvious that there is no one. So how can I communicate with no one? All teachings of becoming and recommendations of using a process are based on two misconceptions. One is that there's such a thing as a person with free will and choice, and the other one is that there's such a thing as a path or a journey towards something called enlightenment.
But it seems to happen in the field of the satsang.
Yeah, it's a very popular idea. Teaching and becoming is far more popular than this ever will be. Everybody wants to learn, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, the me wants to learn how to find fulfillment. So if somebody is apparently teaching you how to find fulfillment, that's far more popular than somebody who is saying to you, there is no one, there's nothing to learn, and there's no such thing as fulfillment, personal fulfillment. That's not popular. There's no such thing as personal fulfillment. There is nothing for the person. That's not a message that goes down very well.
Question? After liberation happens,
Apparently,
yes, there are concepts left, but there are also new concepts getting created after that.
when the me is no more, it's apparent that the natural reality is all there is, and it's a natural reality that is there, and for many who are no longer a me, then that's how it is, and they wouldn't communicate it or have any ideas about it anymore because they don't need to. There isn't anything there that would have concepts or ideas about what is.
But they are aware of it.
No.
No. Sometimes.
No. Not even sometimes. No, there is only what is happening. There might, a concept might arise about something, but it wouldn't arise about the whole aspect of this because there's no longer anything that will ask any questions. But there might be a concept about whether it's better to eat spaghetti or spaghetti is, I don't know. There might be a concept about the easiest way to get to London. But there wouldn't be a concept about whether there is or isn't this natural reality.
So it's all about cause and effect.
Sorry? Oh no, cause and effect collapse with the me. The idea that it's real collapses with the me. So it's obvious after that everything that arises is only an appearance, really concept, cause and effect. Everything is seen through. The story is seen through, it's suddenly recognised as being a meaningless story. The idea of cause and effect, the idea of free will and choice and all those things are seen for what they are, a dream. And so it might.
In the Open Secret, you are describing how liberation came. You were walking.
No, that was an awakening. Walking across the park was an awakening. There's no description in the Open Secret about the final end of Tony Parsons, the apparent end.
So you were walking, thinking too much about the future. It was very stressful, so you said, okay, finished with it. And then came what you name awakening.
That was a glimpse.
A glimpse.
Walking across the park, suddenly there was no one, it was a glimpse, and then I came back.
And was it very disturbing afterwards, because you had to change your way of...
I think there was no one who could change anything. But thereafter, I wanted that more than anything else. But in the end, I couldn't get that, so I died, and there was only that.
And after this state after this state of awakening, was there another state?
No, there was just a moving in and out of me and being, like there is with everybody, most people in a state of awakening prior to liberation.
Very good. And if somebody wanted to experience the same awakening?
Well, there wasn't anybody there when there was nothing, and there never is. But afterwards, me came out of the other side and thought that it wanted that. It didn't know what it was, but it wanted that. Of course, it couldn't have it, because it was there. Me was there. Me can't have nothing, because me is something wanting nothing.
And taking this, your example of awakening as a basis, would you recommend, I don't know, such and such conditions?
No. There's nothing to recommend, because there's no one to recommend it to, and there is no path. There's nowhere to get to. The idea that there's a process which will lead you to something is a myth.
In this particular case, yes, let's say the path came to you rather than you came to the path.
No, in this particular case, I wanted something, I wasn't there, and I came out of the other side wanting it even more.
So there is no theory to organize from your personal example. But for example, reading your books, do you think it helps?
No.
Do you think it creates more problem than solutions, reading your books?
There is no communication that helps. There is no communication which is compassionate, that recognises there is anyone to help, and so there's no communication. There's no compassionate communication that helps. Compassionate communication only destroys the illusion. But reading the books doesn't mean that that would happen, or being here.
Of course.
There's no being here doesn't mean that the illusion is destroyed. In fact, being here could mean that the illusion is even more reinforced, because people don't want this message, so they reinforce their sense of a self. That often happens.
Would you say that less of me brings something better?
Sorry?
Would you say that less of me or I brings?
There is nothing better or worse. All there is what happens. And me apparently arising is what happens. Me not apparently arising is what happens. They're both simply what happens. Apparent.
And in this process of happening, you think there is no point of trying to deviate it or
who would do that?
Is there behind the leaf or in front of the leaf, is there like a supreme force?
Oh no, God no, not the supreme force. No, there isn't anything out there.
This anything, is it empty or is it formless?
It is emptiness arising as fullness. But there's nothing that does that, it's what apparently happens.
And is this emptiness conscious of itself?
Is this emptiness
conscious that it exists?
No, absolutely not. No. The idea that consciousness knows itself is a fairy story made up by teachers. And consciousness came to know itself.
So the loss of consciousness is, let's say,
is liberation. Yes. Because consciousness is knowing, is awareness. When the me is no more, there is nothing that knows and nothing that is aware. All there is what is and isn't. And we can have another coffee.